Marvel Rivals basically just addressed the support strike that has been going on, as well as how Season 2 is going so far in this new dev note. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So in this first section right here, we see that they see two hot topics generating a lot of discussion, which the impact of balance adjustment, as well as performance rating amongst varied classes in ranked play. They just wanted to clarify and communicate these 2 points to people, and we talk about how they work, as well as basically talking about the changes that will be coming in the mid-season patch. So if we read here, it says, in previous seasons, the focus was key abilities and energy management for ultimate abilities. That was basically season 0 and season 1. It was more ult focus and energy management. And they felt like that resulted in a more stable combat pace. But however, in season 2 shift, they tried to basically do more of a coordinated attack and focused attacks, along with necessary collective protective strategies and counterattacks that led to more intense combat rhythm. They go on to say, in this fierce environment, strategists face increased pressure, needing to monitor teammates' health closely, as well as carefully using their key abilities and being mindful of their position on the map. Meanwhile, vanguards and duelists must not only attack effectively, but also provide better protection for the strategist to achieve victory. Basically saying that vanguards and duelists both have to protect their strategists, is not one or the other, because there have been some things going around saying that who should mainly be protecting the strategist, whether it be vanguards or duelists. Marvel Rivals itself is saying both need to be doing that, which I personally like to see, because I myself have moved on from strategists and I'm now playing vanguards more often, just because of everything that was going on with strategists back in season 1 and 0. I just kind of found that playing vanguard was a lot more calmer and you don't get yelled at as much. But while I have changed my roles, I am trying to be more of a flex pick. So if I need to play strategist, I'll play strategist. But opening up my selection has helped me a lot tremendously, because now playing as vanguards, I can now protect my healers better because I know where they should be positioned and, like, you know, when people are diving them. Which I think personally, that's what Marvel really wants you to do, not just to be stuck in one singular role. There's no role queue for a reason. That's why, you know, you can switch from strategist to vanguard to duelist mid-match. I'm pretty sure what they want people to do is to basically kind of have a main on each one. As much as you have the role in your main that you love to play the most, I feel like what they really want people to start doing is at least have a main on each category. But moving on, they continue to say, in this upcoming patch, we will enhance the damage capabilities of certain strategists to elevate their threat levels, which in turn will increase the team composition possibilities. So I feel like what they ended up doing in this section, because I feel like this is like the main thing that they're addressing, is we see that the vanguards and duelists aren't really protecting the strategists as they really need to be doing. So what we're going to end up doing is just making the strategists do a lot more damage. I wonder if they're going to bring them up to the level of, like, close to the level of vanguard damage. I don't see them really doing duelist damage, because, you know, duelist is like their whole kit is based around damage, while vanguard is like more shielding and tanking while doing some damage. And, you know, some vanguards can do decent damage if played properly. So I just wonder if they're going to bring certain strategists up to that level where they will probably match some vanguard damage and come close to duelist damage. I really don't know how they're going to implement that. But in my opinion, I really do like this, because at the end of the day, I always said, like, you know, they're not called healers. They're not called support. Yes, they do support by healing, but then you would call vanguards supports as well, because some of the vanguards provide shielding, which is basically a support job. I also agree with other people when they say, you know, strategists can do damage, because a lot of the times I do feel like sometimes certain strategists like to basically want to be coddled the whole game, and they basically want to be followed around and always protected, and they don't use the rest of their kit. Especially, like, you know, there's certain characters that are better at doing that than others. For me, I don't feel like I really need to always be on top of and protecting a invisible woman, because she has so much stuff in her kit to get away. I'm not saying that, you know, it's easy for them to get away to always ignore your invisible woman. No, protect them when needed. But I do find that sometimes when I am spectating certain invisible women, they don't use half their kit to get away, or if not fight back, because what a lot of people don't understand is Invisible Woman actually does a surprising amount of damage if you know how to do her combos correctly. So personally, I very much do like this, because it basically makes strategists be able to protect themselves. And that's basically what Marvel Rivals is saying, is like, you know what, because vanguards and duelists aren't really protecting you, you guys can now protect yourselves better. I hope they don't push it to a point where strategists basically do the same amount of damage as duelists, because then you're going to see a lot of team comps of like, you know, the triple healer is going to come back and stuff like that. And a lot of people had a lot of issues with that in season 1. Granted, right now, dive is one of the most used team comps in ranked, so a lot of people are getting annoyed by that, which I just hope that they come out with more characters to deal with that, you know? I basically like the route that they said that they were going to go down in the beginning of season 2, which is, you know, after this season, they're just going to release a lot more characters. And a lot of people are saying like, how will you balance that? I find that if they start creating characters that can deal with certain team comps, and I know that's the route that they're going with, because if you really notice the characters that keep coming out, they're kind of dealing with certain threats of certain heroes and certain comps. Back in season 0, one of the biggest gripes that a lot of people had during ranked was how good Wolverine ended up being, because he would basically take half of the tanks and take them to the backline and destroy them. So then they ended up coming out with the Thing, and the Thing can't be picked up, can't be pushed. And then since then, they have kind of died down. The same thing with Hela and Hawkeye. They were such a big problem in season 0 that just by adding and, you know, tweaking certain numbers and stuff, they basically very much died down. And that doesn't mean that they're useless. They're still very good heroes. And if people know how to use them, they can one tap and basically dominate a match. But they started adding characters and adding certain things to be able to deal with them. Moving on, they say additionally, we will make minor adjustments for a few heroes. For example, Groot and Captain America will see a slight reduce in survivability, as well as Spider-Man's amazing combo range will be slightly decreased, and Doctor Strange will require less energy for his ultimate. And the Winter Soldier's Taint Voltage team up ability will also be slightly buffed. In this section, they basically just gave a generalized of like, hey, these are like, I feel like probably the major changes that they're going to do for the mid-season patch, which basically, you know, Groot and Captain America will have less health, or if not less shielding. They are also nerfing Spider-Man's combo damage, so most likely he'll go back to being a tickle monster. And I also see that they're reverting Doctor Strange's energy for his ultimate. I think in the beginning of season 2, they made it so you needed more energy because they felt like he was doing it too much. But now I guess they think he's doing it too little. So I just wonder if they're going to meet in the middle, or if they're going to completely revert and make him go back to how he was in season 1. And they're just going to make the Winter Soldier and the Captain America buff just slightly better, because, you know, while it was good and, you know, you can do a lot of stuff with it, it wasn't really like the best. Continuing, they say, since this mid-season balance patch, we aim to be cautious, keeping changes to minimal to enhance the experience of certain heroes without drastically altering the overall meta. As we move into season 2.5 with Ultron Arrival and the new team up ability adjustments, we consider broader, more comprehensive balance changes. So right now they're going to basically just do small adjustments. They're not going to do anything big because they're going to wait for Ultron and basically see how he switches up things with his team up abilities and everything. And then most likely they're basically just trying to see how tweaking these numbers, making the strategists do more damage, how that's going to affect comp. But overall, for this first part, for the season changes and the mid-season balance adjustments, I do really like this, because like I said, I personally like that the strategists can be able to defend themselves, because for certain strategists, they do have abilities to be able to defend themselves. So if they get their numbers brought up, they'll have more weight in the game. But let me know how you guys feel about this mid-season change update and the balance update and everything that they basically just announced, because I would definitely like to hear you guys' opinion down in the comments. Moving on, this is basically where they clear up any misunderstandings about the competitive performance points and how much you're earning. There were talks about strategists getting like 8 points a win, and then DPS or Vanguards getting like 20 to 30. While some other people were also saying strategists were able to get around 30 per win. So in this section, they basically just clear up any miscommunications. So let's just read on. In each match, hero's performance rating is calculated based on the average key combat data for that hero at the player's current rank. The more a hero's combat data exceeds the baseline of their rank during the match, the better their performance rating, and vice versa for poor performance. Of course, these stats are adjusted based on hero usage to ensure that they aren't skewed by playtime. If a player uses multiple heroes in a match, performance rating will be weighed according to their usage time. Continuing on, they say, we noticed that compared to previous seasons, a small number of duelists have slight advantage in performance ratings in season 2, while some Vanguards and strategists face slight disadvantage. However, most heroes remain balanced. In the upcoming patch, we will optimize the performance rating calculations based on the latest data to ensure fairness across all heroes. So what I said before was technically true. Certain duelists did have a slight advantage when it came to performance ratings, because most likely not a lot of people played them. So if you did really well on them, then they would basically say like, this is not normal, this is out of the ordinary. So then you would end up getting more points. Personally, I do like that they're being upfront and are letting people know like, hey, we did messed up and we saw saw the problem and we're going to end up fixing it. And finally, they say balancing the game and rank adjustments is a challenging endeavor, and we can't guarantee perfection 100% of the time. However, we remain humble and attentive, striving to address issues promptly and enhancing your experience. Stay tuned for the official patch announcements for more updates. Thank you for your support and patience. So that's the end of their dev blog. I really do enjoy these because, you know, it is them being very upfront and telling us like, hey, we made a mistake and we are going to fix it, which I personally do agree with. You know, at the end of the day, this is a new game. They are trying something different. Doesn't mean that, you know, there are other hero shooters out there. They're trying to be different inside this category. But with that, let me know how you guys feel about this new dev note and them basically making strategists be able to protect themselves, as well as bringing down the numbers to make Dive not as competitive. And if you guys would like to see more Marvel Rivals content and other fun gaming commentary stuff ahead, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.